I just have. I'd like to call this September 1st, 2011 Cookeville City Council meeting to order. Could we get a roll call?
Councilman Anderson.
Present.
Councilman Woodford.
Present.
Mayor Swallows.
Here.
Vice Mayor Epps.
Here.
Councilman Albright.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. All right. Consider approval of agenda as presented. Do we have additions, subtractions to the agenda?
On item 11, we consider awarding bid for commercial grade mowers, Leisure Services Department. We need to add Public Works Department to that also. And we need to add item 12, consider approval of emergency repairs of Tower 1 Fire Department, sponsor Roger Fuel.
So we're adding Public Works to item 11, right?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. Yeah.
All right. All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Old business item 2, consider approval of minutes of council meeting held on August 18th, 2011. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carried.
All right. On to the consent agenda. Item 3, set a date, 10/6/2011, for a public hearing on ordinance 11-9-16, rezoning a portion of 644 Whitson Chapel Road from RS20, single-family residential, to CL, local commercial. Item 4, set a date 10/6/2011, for a public hearing on ordinance 11-9-17, rezoning 1491 and 1493 West Broad Street from RS20, which is single-family residential, to CL, local commercial. Item 4, set a date 10/6/2011, for a public hearing on ordinance 11-9-18, amendments to the zoning code. Item 6, consider awarding bid for uniforms from the police department. Item 7, consider awarding bids for transformers and LED lights by the electric department. Do I have a motion for approval on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any questions? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carries.
All right, on to new business. Item 8, consider on second and final reading ordinance 11-8-15, amending Title I, Chapter 3, Sections 1-302 and 1-303, relative to public records. Sponsors Ms. Gail Fowler.
Mayor and Council, this is second and final reading for this ordinance that's being amended to delete an outdated reference to media that's used to provide information to our citizens, and it's also making our fees for inspection and copying of records for the City of Cookeville to be in accordance with Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-4-604. This requires the Office of Open Records Council of the State of Tennessee to establish those schedule of charges and fees. I've had no questions or comments between first and second reading. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but would request your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
All right, questions from council? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Item 9, consider Resolution 11911, expressing intent to reimburse expenditures of certain public works projects from proceeds of notes, bonds, or other indebtedness to be issued by the city. Sponsor is Mr. Mike Davidson.
Mr. Mike Davidson is at a ball game in McMinnville or something. I think I'm going to take care of this one for him.
All right.
James, click. Thank you. This is a resolution of our intent to reimburse the city funds should we have to use any cash in advance of issuing the bonds that were approved as part of the budget process this year. And that's right at it's not to exceed $4 million, and what we have projected right now is at $3.9 million. That's for a public works facility at 2.5. I'm gonna have to get some glasses on here.
You want to borrow mine?
I got them. A lot of actually the next phase 3 to Dogwood Park, to construct an arbor, to put down the sod, do some fencing around the perimeter, a bridge and playground and dressing rooms behind the pavilion, HVAC units for CPAC, roof repair and fly system for CPAC. We have $300,000 to add to our $450,000 plus that we have in reserve to build a new animal shelter if and when we ever resolve the property issue out on the Gainesboro grade, and some improvements to the depot. There's also 3 dump trucks for public works. All of this, including bond selling costs and contingencies, totals $3,905,000. And I would recommend your approval.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments from the council? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, item 10, consider appointment to the Cookeville Tree Board. Sponsors Mayor Swallows. I'd like to recommend Justin Clark to serve on the tree board. He is a plant pathologist, and he is someone that stepped up and really wants to do this. So I think that's half of it, at least.
Yeah,
Maybe
more than half.
More than half. So I recommend Justin Clark.
I'll make a motion to approve his
Second.
appointment.
All right, any questions? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, item 11, consider awarding bid for commercial grade mowers. Sponsors Leisure Services Department, Rick Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We advertised and received bids for commercial grade mowers. We received 11 different bids, and we would recommend low bid meeting specification presented by Southern Landscape Supply for the Bad Boy Outlaw mower. The Leisure Services Department has 3 60-inch deck mowers and 2 72-inch deck mowers budgeted in our budget, and the Public Works Department is wishing to purchase 2 60-inch deck mowers, which is budgeted in their budget. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I would recommend your approval.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for approval?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Questions from the council?
Just curious, Rick. I mean, how often I see the guys out mowing all the time. How fast do you go through one of those mowers?
We work very hard to make them last, and we've done a very good job most recently in the past few years when we've had to tighten our belts a little bit and not buy any. But we should be replacing them every couple of years. We mow in our parklands. We're over 300 acres of parkland, plus we have public facilities, City Hall, the Public Library, Performing Arts Center, various public facilities that we also do lawn maintenance plus all the ball fields that we have. So they're heavily used, and our guys do a very good job maintaining them and taking care of them.
Anything else? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. All right, on to the new item, item 12. Consider approval of emergency repairs of Tower 1. Sponsors Fire Department Chief Roger Fuquay.
Mayor, Council, asking for approval for emergency repairs to Tower 1 to Cumberland International Truck in Nashville for $13,503.
All right, thank you.
Recommend your approval.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions from the council?
I do. Chief, if you could just, we've kind of heard about this in our work session, but if you could just, for the sake of the public, kind of let us know. I mean, a lot of times folks will think something might be up when we try to slip something in on the agenda without really having a time to discuss it. Would you spend a little time telling how important what this does?
We were having major electrical issues in the truck. Basically, it had to be rewired from the pedestal to the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably only a few trucks in the country that would take that particular wiring harness. So, and it's over 100 feet long, and they've had to replace that. The high pressure hose for the air system so the guys can breathe had to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the valves in the pump, some of the power supplies for the lighting was damaged due to the low voltage because of the bad wiring going to the bucket. There was several issues that need to be taken care of.
So would it be safe to say that any delay on this would really put the fire department in a bad way?
It was to the point where you could swing the bucket around and couldn't get it back.
Yeah, we couldn't use it, basically, like it was.
So if the guys were up there and got in trouble and it there's a chance they wouldn't be able to get it back into the bed.
Are these repairs done on site? Do we do those here, or does
No,
someone
ma'am.
have to come in, or how does that work?
Smaller items, they'll come up here and work on it.
Mhm.
But something this large had to go to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
How soon can you guys get it fixed? Will it be fixed?
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
Yeah, it's already done. Yeah.
What is the turnaround time from when it leaves here and then comes back?
This case here is there about 2 months.
Really? Okay.
They had a really hard time finding a wiring harness for it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, this is a portion of the meeting where we open the floor. Any citizens and/or delegations that want to get up and speak? Any announcements or any questions, concerns, anything they want to address? Start with the council.
I want to remind everybody about the Fall Fun Fest coming up. It's not this weekend, but next weekend. And are those dates the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 8th, 9th? What are those dates, Mr. Woods?
9th and 10th.
9th and 10th. Oh, that's right. Today is the 1st. So want to remind everybody about the Fall Fun Fest. And then Dogwood Park this weekend, they're going to have the Bryan Fine Arts Symphony is going to have a free concert. And if you haven't been to one of the evening concerts at Dogwood Park, you need to come. It's beautiful. And this time of the year, it's particularly beautiful. So remember the Fall Fun Fest.
Yes, I do. A couple of things. The lunch and learns that are going to be on Tuesdays that your energy leaders have been talking to each of the departments about. If you haven't signed up, please do so. I think you'll find it very informative, and you will find some savings that you will be able to save in your departments. Also, Mr. Peak, if you have some information for us on the LED lights. We were talking the other day about having the LED lights that had been put in the parking lot in the back of City Hall, and I know over at Leslie Town Center, but where else have they been, and what's the savings that we recoup that we get on this?
Okay, thank you. As you know, we received a $100,000 grant to do LED lighting in some of the municipal and governmental parking lots. City Hall, yes. If you recall, a few years ago, we received a grant from EPRI, the Electric Power Research Institute, when they first started testing LED lights, and we were able to change out 14, I think, in the lower parking lot. Everybody liked those so well. Then when the CBG grant came about and we applied, we thought, man, it'd be pretty neat to do all of our parking lots with LED. So we basically, in phase one, completed the City Hall parking lot, and we installed 15 more units, so there's 29 LED lights in the lower parking lot. Additionally, we did the front entrance to City Hall. There's 5 there. Cedar Street Municipal parking lot behind West Side, we installed 10 there. Walnut Street parking lot, if you turn right like you were going to the chamber, that's on the left there behind Darwin Mall, 5 there. Chamber of Commerce parking lot, 21 fixtures that we changed out. Boyd Street parking lot uptown, behind Eastside, yes. We changed out 6 in that parking lot, and then there was 7 units over in the older version of Dogwood Park next to the police department, and changed those. Then once we did all that we had initially proposed, the money was only around $55,000. So we asked for an amendment and received it to spend as much as of the $100,000 as we could. So the light you approved tonight is to do just that. And the other parking lots we're looking at is Cane Creek Park in its entirety, changing those to LED. There'll be 9 units there. West End Park, off Spring, near the Triangle. There's 4 there. The Electric Department Service Center probably got more lights than anybody in town. We're changing out 30, 250 units down there with a much smaller LED. And then the Cookeville Police Department parking lot in behind, there's 7 units there we're looking to change out. And I think once all the smoke clears, we're going to have spent about $98,000 and a few dollars of that $100,000 grant. So we got pretty close. Second part of your question, all the lights that we changed is going to amount to about an 80,000 kilowatt hours a year savings, and that equates to about $8,000 in those 119 fixtures. Questions?
Are you replacing, as a light goes out and you have to replace lights, are you replacing those with LEDs?
Not yet. They're still, the jury is still somewhat out on LED lighting as far as street lighting. A little bit of difference in lighting a parking lot. You know, obviously you're looking at safety, but once you get out where the motoring public is, it's a little more critical. So we're still studying that, but fully intend to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? I'd like to welcome the tech students back into town and say Coach Watson Brown and the boys kick off Saturday, so they play Iowa. It's a tough test, but I'm sure they're up for it.
Yeah, a week from the day they'll have a home game.
Yes, yeah. Next Thursday be the home opener.
Right.
Keep that in mind as well. Yes, that's it. This meeting's adjourned.